going to show you now is how to remove the seal spacers and piston from this 8-9 series platform. Alright, the cover's been removed, the electronics have been removed, so you can better see how this is done. Okay? But we're going to take this plate off and expose the piston seals and spacers and a brine valve. But before any of this would have been done, we'd have put the system in bypass. Alright? We'd have just taken a bypass lever back here. There's two of them. Shut off the inlet, shut off the outlet. Maneuver the electronic controller into a backwash and let all the pressure off the system down the drain. Okay? So before you would ever expose the internal workings of any control valve, you always need to put it in bypass and let the pressure off. Okay? So before we do that, standard safety protocol, standard sanitary protocol. I've got on my sanitary gloves because I'm going to be working with the wetted parts and the internal workings of this control valve. What's a wetted part? It's anything that gets wet. It's the parts that are exposed to the customer's water. Always wear sanitary gloves when you're working on the internal workings of anyone's control valve to eliminate any chance of cross-contamination of their system. Alright? Now to get this off, simply set the torque at 50% like I always say, and spin them out. There's 4. There's a self-tapping screw and 3 bolts. Very simple. Put them in the cover so you don't lose them, and then gently lift this off. Okay? It might catch a little bit on a spring. Patient and calm. There we go. Alright? Now this is exposed. First, I'm going to pull the brine valve off and show you that. This is just a poppet valve, like all our controls. This controls the flow of water from the brine tank in and out. Alright? And it's this valve opening and closing. Let me see if I can show that better. Open and close. There's a little rubber poppet here. There's 2 O-rings here and here. What you want to make sure is that if there's any debris under here, if that's torn, if it's corroded, if it's worn, replace the whole brine valve. Don't try and just replace this little rubber poppet, alright? Put that back in, making sure there's no ring here, there's no ring here. If need be, re-silicone. You want them to be shiny. Don't ever glob silicone on here. Just make sure they're shiny, alright? Put that back in there with even pressure from both your thumbs. Let me say that again. Even pressure from both your thumbs. Just push it into place. That easy. That's how you replace the brine valve. Now, piston seals and spacers. If we're doing a service call and we want to see what's going on inside here, we want to make sure that we pull this out so everything stays in place. So when we take our flashlight, we look down inside here to see if there's a ripped seal, if there's debris stuck in there, if there's wear. We want to know what's going on in here in our service call. So gently lift this up, and I'm going to get my finger under here, okay, and hold the seal down, and then lift my piston up, alright? I want everything to stay in place. So I pull this out, alright? First thing I'll do is examine the coating on my piston to see if there's any wear, any cuts, any scrapes. Of course, this is a brand new control valve, so you're not going to see any of that. But on a service call, you might see wear, scratches, cuts. If this is damaged and water can go by your seals, well then the system's not going to function properly. That could very well be the culprit on a service call. Alright? To see what's going on inside our valve, always carry a small flashlight, and what I'm going to do, I look down inside. See if I can pull this back a little bit for you. Alright? Look down inside there. See? Seals and spacers. I know it's a little tough to see. Right? But there's seals and spacers down in there, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to examine my seals and spacers and see if I see anything ripped, anything torn, anything stuck, anything that doesn't look right. Now they come out very easily. Seal spacer, seal spacer. Like I've said before, if this is the first time you're just learning, always take pictures of what you're doing with your smartphone so you know how it went together, so you know exactly how to put it back when you're done, all right? But always a seal, a spacer, seal spacer, all the way through, okay? And that'll continue all the way down to the bottom of the valve, all right? Now put them back. If it's a repair assembly, you'll have the right amount of all of these to go back in. If you are doing a service call, fine, there's nothing wrong, you just need to put them back. Remember, you always start with a seal. This face, of course, this hard face is not going to seal. So just remember, always start with a seal. Seal, spacer, seal, spacer, seal is how this all goes together. It's really easy. Just gently, patiently slide everything home. They'll all seat, marry together as they go down. All right. Go ahead, finish popping those in. Seal, spacer, seal. All right. Now when I'm all done, you'll notice that there's the ridge right here where the last seal is. It doesn't look like it's far enough down. Well, don't worry about that. This is all going to compress. It's all going to compress when we put it all back together. So that's the way it should be. All right. Take your piston. Good idea. Again, take our silicone grease and just shine this up. I always say shine. You never want globs of silicone on anything. Just get it shiny. And gently slide it home. All right? Now, when we put this back on, remember I mentioned that the timer fits on this little clip back here? Well, of course it has to go to the back. This can only go on one way. You put it on upside down, not going to work. Not going to work, right? This can only go on one way. You can't get it wrong. See this L right here? That tells you that's the top and the front. They're all marked like that. Slide that home. Okay. Start with our bolts. Get those in first. There's 3 of them. Had we taken a picture, we'd have looked at our picture and saw that. But just get those started. Okay. Take our drill. Think of installing a spare tire and you're tightening down the lug nuts. You don't want to just tighten. You don't want to just go and tighten this down all the way and then tighten this and then tighten this. You're trying to compress everything down evenly, or as evenly as you can. So just go around in your crisscross pattern. A little bit each one. Notice the drill slipping? That keeps me from over tightening any of my bolts. Alright? Having that torque reduced on this drill keeps us from over tightening anything. Alright? It's important to remember when you put this plate back on, you've got these 3 bolts. Alright? Never forget that there is a self-tapping screw that needs to go in here too. It goes right there. Okay. Take a picture of this again before we take it apart. 4 bolts and a self-tapping screw.